recently, there have been major infra projects like, the Mindanao Railway, where the Philippines dropped China funding because it does look like that they're not interested anymore. The DOTR is careful not to attribute this directly to the West Philippine Sea tensions. But what do you think?
Well, there are several reasons for this. And of course, China has shown in the past that it often tries to utilize its economic clout as a form of, reprimanding a particular state when it falls out of line based on its interests. We've seen this with Vietnam, for example, whether or not this is directly linked or not, when Vietnam enhanced its and elevated its partnership to a comprehensive partnership with the U.S., China decided not to take in the produce that it usually imports from Vietnam, and leaving it, of course, to suffer some economic losses. And of course, this is, of course, a wake-up call for us to realize that we have to continue diversification of our economic partnerships. And we have to, of course, give focus on the role of imports, all right? So going back to infrastructure, right? Japan continues to maintain its role as a top infrastructure investor in Southeast Asia. China's BRI has attracted significant criticisms because of its unsustainability, disregard for international macroeconomic stability. I mean, look at Sri Lanka, look at Pakistan, right? So Japan's economic engagement is rooted in its free and open Indo-Pacific policy. Translates to transparent, democratically driven investments. While China's vast financial institutions outweigh Japan's, Japan's offer to countries are based on long-term loans with low interest rates. And I think this is quite beneficial. And of course, we have to open up our markets to more friendly competition between and among like-minded partners that also have vast economic capabilities, right? And most importantly, I think we have to work towards decreasing our import dependence on China. This is one of the biggest problems we have as a net importing country, right? So a possible way forward, of course, would be for joint production, perhaps, with Japan to lower the costs on key products that we usually rely on China for, given that we have a large young labor force, a large young population, while Japan is currently facing a demographic challenge. So perhaps this is a way that could lead to a win-win cooperation. It may be a long shot, but we would have to redirect our attention to decreasing our imports from China as well. I mean, that is definitely a step in addressing the China issue through a multifaceted approach.
Perhaps doing that very slowly. I mean, China also has a huge market, billions of people there. But do you agree with the speaker's, Senate President Zubiri's suggestion that Japan should take over these infrastructure projects, apart from the imports that you were saying a while ago?
Well, I mean, Japan is steadfast in its desire to present itself as a responsible developing partner, right? And Southeast Asia is definitely one of the most important areas for Japan to improve its position as a developing partner. Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy is in fact rooted in expanding infrastructure connectivity, not only in the Western Pacific, but throughout the Indian Ocean as well. So definitely it would be in Japan's interest. But of course, it's not going to be as simple as, do you want to take it? Yeah, sure, we'll take it. Right. So it depends on the negotiations that would entail, how both countries, the Philippines and Japan, will be able to iron out some nitty-gritty details on the arrangements and to result in a sort of positive sum cooperation for infrastructure, right?